On the cliffs above Thermopylae, a single Spartan warrior gazed upon the field where 300 of his brothers had made their final stand. The Persian army lay scattered, but victory had come at an unthinkable cost. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky blood red, he made a sacred vow that would echo through history. The gods had witnessed their sacrifice, and now the world would witness Spartan vengeance. His name was Pausanias, and he would lead the coalition that would repay Xerxes in kind. In the marble halls of Sparta, the Greek commanders assembled to plan their response to the Persian invasion. Pausanias stood before the gathered leaders, his voice carrying the weight of Thermopylae's sacrifice. "We must pursue Xerxes' retreating forces and ensure that Persia never again threatens our homeland. The dead of Thermopylae demand justice, and we shall deliver it with interest." His words ignited a fire in every heart present. The council agreed unanimously that the Persian navy must be destroyed, cutting off their retreat and preventing future invasions of Greek soil. As dawn broke over the sacred waters, the Greek fleet assembled in formation, their bronze rams gleaming like the teeth of sea monsters. 300 ships carried the hopes of Greece, each warrior aboard carrying the memory of fallen comrades. Pausanias addressed his men from the flagship's prow, his voice carrying across the water like a war horn. "Today we avenge Thermopylae and ensure that no Persian ship ever again darkens our shores." The crews responded with a thunderous battle cry that echoed off the surrounding cliffs, their voices promising retribution for the blood spilled at the hot gates. The Greek armada cut through the choppy waters like a bronze-tipped spear, their destination the narrow straits where Xerxes' fleet lay anchored. For 3 days they pursued the retreating Persians, the memory of Thermopylae driving every stroke of their oars. Storm clouds gathered overhead, as if the gods themselves sensed the approaching reckoning. The Spartan warriors stood ready on deck, their shields polished to mirror brightness, their hearts steeled for vengeance. As they rounded the final headland, the Persian fleet came into view, and the moment of reckoning arrived. The Strait of Salamis became a killing ground where the fate of Greece would be decided. Greek triremes slammed into Persian vessels with bone-shattering impact, bronze rams punching through enemy hulls. The Spartan warriors leaped across the churning waters, their battle cries drowning out the crash of splintering wood. Every stroke of their swords avenged a fallen comrade from Thermopylae, every spear thrust repaid the Persian arrogance. The narrow waters ran red with blood, and the Persian fleet began to crumble under the relentless Greek assault. Xerxes watched helplessly from his golden throne, witnessing his naval power disintegrate before his eyes. From his golden throne atop the overlooking hill, Xerxes witnessed the destruction of his magnificent fleet. The man who had boasted he would lash the sea itself watched in helpless rage as his ships burned and sank. Each Greek victory was a dagger to his pride, each Spartan charge a reminder of Thermopylae's unfinished business. His advisors whispered urgently, but the king could only stare in disbelief at his crumbling dream of conquest. The bronze rams that had once seemed invincible now proved fatally vulnerable, and the tide of war had turned against the Persian Empire with shocking suddenness. The waters around Salamis became a graveyard for Persian ambition. Burning ships drifted like funeral pyres, their crews leaping into the sea or clinging desperately to floating debris. The Greek warriors stood on their decks, raising their shields in triumph as they watched their enemies perish. For every Spartan who had died at Thermopylae, 10 Persian warriors now fed the hungry sea. The bronze rams that had once threatened Greek shores now served only to sink their own fleet. As the last Persian ships disappeared beneath the waves, the Greek coalition knew that their vengeance was complete. Pausanias raised his bloodied sword toward the heavens, his voice carrying across the victorious fleet like thunder. "The gods have heard the cries of Thermopylae, and justice has been served this day." 300 Spartans gave their lives to slow the Persian tide, and today their sacrifice has been repaid tenfold. The Greek warriors erupted in cheers that echoed across the strait, their voices carrying the message that Greece would never bow to foreign tyranny. As the sun set over the burning Persian ships, the Spartan general knew that the blood of his fallen brothers had been properly avenged. With Salamis secured, the Greek army turned its attention to the retreating Persian land forces. 10,000 hoplites marched in perfect formation through the narrow mountain passes, their bronze armor gleaming like a river of metal. Each step carried them closer to completing the vengeance begun at Thermopylae. The disciplined ranks moved with mechanical precision, their shields locked in the phalanx formation that had made them invincible. Pausanias led from the front, his red cloak serving as a beacon for his warriors. The Persian garrisons ahead could hear the rhythmic thunder of approaching Greek vengeance. The Persian garrisons waited nervously in their mountain camps, their fires casting dancing shadows across the valley floor. News of Salamis had reached them like a death knell, and they knew that the vengeful Greeks would not rest until every Persian soldier had paid for Thermopylae. The proud warriors who had once marched confidently through Greek lands now huddled around their fires, their confidence shaken. Xerxes' retreat had left them isolated and vulnerable, facing an enemy driven by righteous fury. As the Greek war cries echoed through the mountains, the Persians realized that their time of reckoning had arrived. Dawn brought the thunder of Spartan vengeance crashing down upon the Persian camps. 10,000 Greeks poured down the mountainside like an avalanche of bronze and steel, their battle cries echoing off every rock and ridge. Pausanias led the charge from the front, his spear pointed directly at the heart of the Persian positions. The retreating enemy scrambled desperately to form battle lines, but discipline crumbled under the weight of Greek fury. Every Spartan warrior carried the memory of Thermopylae in his heart, and every step brought them closer to settling that terrible debt with Persian blood. The mountain camp became a slaughterhouse where Persian blood paid for Spartan sacrifice. Greek hoplites crashed into the enemy lines with irresistible force, their long spears finding gaps in Persian armor. Every thrust avenged a fallen brother, every shield bash repaid the arrogance of Xerxes' invasion. The Persians fought desperately but broke under the disciplined fury of Spartan vengeance. Bronze rang against bronze as the two armies clashed, but the Greeks pressed forward with the strength of righteous anger. The camp burned around them, but nothing could stop the tide of retribution. The Persian survivors scattered like chaff before the Greek reaper, their proud army reduced to desperate fugitives fleeing through the rocky passes. Greek hoplites pursued them relentlessly, their superior armor and training turning every encounter into a massacre. The mountains echoed with Persian screams and Greek battle cries, the sound of vengeance carried on the wind. No quarter was given, no mercy shown to those who had shown none at Thermopylae. The retreating Persians found that the gods of Greece had chosen their side, and divine justice came swift and terrible to those who had dared invade the homeland. As the sun reached its zenith over the destroyed Persian camp, Pausanias stood among the trophies of victory. Captured banners lay trampled beneath his feet, their once proud symbols now tokens of defeat. The Persian weapons that had threatened Greek freedom were piled high, a testament to the power of Spartan resolve. His warriors gathered around him, their shields still wet with enemy blood, their hearts filled with the satisfaction of justice served. The sacrifice of Thermopylae had been repaid in full, and Greece stood free once more. The Spartan general raised his sword in salute to the fallen 300, knowing that their deaths had not been in vain. The road home to Sparta was paved with the bones of Persian invaders, every step a testament to Greek valor and Spartan determination. 10,000 warriors marched in perfect formation, their captured banners streaming in the evening breeze like trophies of divine favor. The mountains themselves seemed to cheer as the victorious army passed, their bronze armor gleaming like beacons of freedom. Each warrior carried the knowledge that they had fulfilled their sacred duty, that the blood of Thermopylae had been properly avenged. As they crested the final hill, the lights of Sparta twinkled in the distance, welcoming home the men who had saved Greece from foreign tyranny. The streets of Sparta erupted in celebration as the victorious warriors returned from their sacred mission. Women and children lined the narrow streets, their cheers echoing off the ancient stone walls. Olive branches and flower petals rained down upon the bronze-armored heroes, each warrior receiving the gratitude of a grateful people. The children ran alongside the procession, their laughter mixing with the martial music of returning champions. Elders nodded with approval, recognizing that these men had honored their ancestors and secured their descendants' future. Every Spartan understood that Thermopylae's sacrifice had been transformed into triumph, that the dead had been properly avenged. In the sacred silence of Sparta's holiest temple, Pausanias knelt before the altar of the war god, his battle-worn body finally at rest. The incense smoke curled upward like prayers to the heavens, carrying word of justice served and vengeance complete. His scars told the story of Thermopylae's redemption, each mark a testament to the price of freedom. The bronze armor that had protected him now lay beside the altar, offered to the gods who had granted victory. In the flickering lamplight, he whispered thanks to the 300 who had made this moment possible, knowing that their sacrifice had been transformed into salvation for all Greece. Upon the highest hill of Sparta, a bronze warrior stood eternal watch over the city he had helped save. The statue gazed toward the sunrise, spear ready and shield raised, embodying the unbreakable spirit that had driven the Greeks to victory. Below, the citizens went about their daily lives in freedom, unaware of how close they had come to foreign bondage. The memorial served as a reminder that liberty must be purchased with blood, that every generation must stand ready to avenge any threat to their sacred soil. The bronze figure would stand forever, a testament to the price of freedom and the power of righteous vengeance. The Strait of Salamis remained forever changed, its waters transformed into a memorial for Persian hubris. Sunken ships lay scattered across the seabed like the bones of a defeated dragon, their bronze rams pointing accusingly toward the surface. Greek triremes patrolled the area, ensuring that no survivors could escape the reckoning. Seabirds feasted upon the floating remnants of Xerxes' dreams, their cries echoing across the water like laughter at Persian folly. The sea itself had chosen Greece's side, swallowing the invaders who had dared threaten the sacred homeland. Thermopylae's blood had found its proper resting place in these waters. As dawn broke over the Greek countryside, Spartan warriors stood ready once more, their bronze armor gleaming like beacons of eternal vigilance. The discipline that had won victory at Salamis remained unbroken, the formation as perfect as the day they had marched to avenge Thermopylae. Each warrior carried the memory of fallen comrades, the knowledge that freedom required constant protection. The morning mist swirled around their shields, but their resolve remained crystal clear. Greece would never again face the threat of Persian invasion, for these men had ensured that Xerxes' ambitions lay buried beneath the waves and mountains of their homeland. Time had claimed its final victory over the last remnants of Xerxes' invasion. A Persian soldier's bones lay scattered in the mountain pass, his armor rusted and weapons broken by wind and weather. The elements had slowly claimed what Spartan steel had begun, reducing the invader to dust and memory. No monument marked his resting place, no epitaph recorded his name. He had come to conquer Greece and instead found only defeat and oblivion. The mountain winds whispered through his scattered remains, carrying the eternal message that those who threaten Spartan soil face not just mortal enemies but the very forces of nature itself. The marble halls of Greece echoed with the cheers of grateful citizens as Pausanias received the honors he had earned through blood and sacrifice. Golden wreaths were placed upon his head, each leaf representing a life saved from Persian tyranny. The city leaders bowed before him, acknowledging that he had fulfilled the sacred duty begun at Thermopylae. Citizens pressed forward to touch his armor, to share in the glory of victory over impossible odds. The general accepted their praise with Spartan humility, knowing that true honor belonged to the 300 who had given their lives so that others might live in freedom. Upon the sacred hillside, the tombs of Thermopylae's defenders stood eternal watch over the land they had saved. Elaborate stone monuments bore the names of heroes whose sacrifice had made possible the victory at Salamis. Carved reliefs showed their final stand, bronze weapons raised against impossible odds, their faces set in determination that would echo through eternity. Olive trees grew around their resting places, their silver leaves whispering ancient secrets to the wind. Wildflowers bloomed each spring, nature's own tribute to those who had given everything so that Greece might remain free. The tombs served as eternal reminders that freedom comes at a price, and some debts can only be paid with blood. The Spartan harbor bustled with peaceful activity, Greek triremes riding peacefully at anchor while merchant vessels conducted their daily trade. The bronze rams that had once threatened Persian hulls now served only to protect Greek waters from future invaders. Fishermen cast their nets in the shadow of warships that had saved their homeland, their work untroubled by foreign threats. Citizens walked the docks freely, their children playing near the very ships that had carried vengeance to Xerxes' fleet. The calm waters reflected not just the vessels above, but the security that Spartan sacrifice had purchased for generations to come. Thermopylae's blood had bought this peace, and every Greek knew its value. On the very cliffs where 300 Spartans had made their final stand, a lone warrior gazed toward the setting sun, his bronze armor catching the last rays of daylight. The battlefield below held the scattered stones of ancient combat, each rock a testament to courage beyond measure. The sea that had witnessed Thermopylae's sacrifice now reflected the crimson sky of a peaceful evening. He stood as living proof that Spartan resolve could not be broken, that the gods favored those who fought for righteous causes. The wind carried the whispers of fallen heroes, assuring them that their deaths had not been forgotten, that their sacrifice had been transformed into salvation for all Greece. By the flickering light of the evening lamp, an aged Spartan told his grandchildren the tale that would define their people for all time. His weathered hands gestured as he spoke of 300 warriors who had held back an empire, of bronze rams that had shattered Persian dreams, of justice served beneath the waves of Salamis. The children listened with wide eyes, their young hearts already beating with the rhythm of Spartan valor. They would grow to understand that freedom was not free, that every generation must stand ready to avenge any threat to their sacred soil. The old warrior's voice carried the weight of memory, ensuring that Thermopylae's sacrifice would never be forgotten, that Salamis' victory would inspire courage in every Spartan heart. In the heart of every Greek city, bronze warriors stood eternal guard over the memory of Thermopylae's sacrifice and Salamis' triumph. The statues showed 3 Spartans in perfect combat formation, shields locked and spears ready, their faces set in the determination that had saved Greece from foreign tyranny. Citizens passed by daily, many stopping to place fresh wreaths at the monument's base. Children learned the story of their bronze guardians, understanding that these figures represented not just artistic achievement but the very soul of Greek freedom. The monuments served as constant reminders that liberty required eternal vigilance, that the price of freedom was never truly paid but must be renewed with each generation. In the golden halls of his palace, Xerxes sat alone upon his throne, the weight of defeat pressing down upon his royal shoulders. The jewels that had once gleamed with triumph now seemed dull and lifeless, reflecting only his shattered dreams of conquest. Courtiers stood at respectful distance, their silence speaking louder than any words of consolation. The man who had boasted he would make the sea itself obey his will now understood the terrible price of challenging Spartan resolve. His grand invasion had ended not in glory but in humiliation, his mighty fleet resting in the depths of Salamis while Greek freedom rang like a bronze bell across the Mediterranean. The throne that had seemed so secure now felt like a seat of judgment. Beneath skies untroubled by foreign sails, Greek merchant vessels plied the peaceful waters of the Mediterranean, their white canvas catching the favorable winds of freedom. Dolphins danced in the ship's wake, their playful leaps celebrating the security that Spartan sacrifice had purchased for all Greece. Merchants conducted their trade without fear of Persian raiders, their cargo safe beneath the watchful eye of bronze-ramped warships. The sea that had once trembled at the approach of Xerxes' fleet now welcomed Greek vessels like old friends. Every safe voyage, every profitable trade, every peaceful sunset on the water was a testament to the blood spilled at Thermopylae and the vengeance exacted at Salamis. As dawn broke over Sparta, young warriors trained in the ancient gymnasium, their bronze weapons flashing in the early light like the heartbeat of an eternal flame. Each movement was practiced to perfection, every technique honed to the sharpness of justice itself. The instructors watched with approving eyes, knowing that these boys would carry forward the legacy of Thermopylae's fallen and Salamis triumphant. The sand beneath their feet held the sweat of generations, each grain a testament to Spartan dedication to martial excellence. The discipline that had enabled 300 warriors to hold back an empire was being passed down to new generations, ensuring that Greece would never again face invasion without the means to avenge any threat with terrible finality. Upon the sacred ground where Persian blood had paid for Spartan sacrifice, a simple monument bore the names of those who had died ensuring that freedom would endure. Scattered weapons lay beneath wildflowers that bloomed each spring, nature's own tribute to the courage that had saved Greece from foreign bondage. The bronze points that had once threatened Greek soil now served only as markers of defeat, their edges dulled by time and weather. The inscription told the story of Thermopylae's redemption, of Salamis' triumph, of justice served with interest. Every visitor who passed this way understood that freedom came at a price, and some debts could only be paid with the blood of heroes. Beneath the silver moon, the Greek fleet rode peacefully at anchor, their their bronze rams pointing toward horizons that no longer held the threat of Persian invasion. The polished shields that had reflected enemy arrows now caught the gentle moonbeams, their surfaces smooth and unmarked by recent battle. In the nearby city, citizens slept soundly behind walls that Persian siege engines would never again threaten. Children dreamed peacefully in beds protected by the vigilance of bronze-armored warriors, their rest untroubled by the nightmares of foreign conquest. The fleet served as eternal guardians of the peace that Thermopylae's sacrifice and Salamis' victory had purchased, their presence ensuring that Greek freedom would endure for generations yet unborn. In the sacred silence of the temple, a Spartan warrior knelt before the eternal flames, his bronze armor gleaming like offerings to the gods who had granted victory. The sacred fire burned steadily, its light illuminating carved reliefs that told the story of Thermopylae's redemption and Salamis' triumph. His whispered prayers carried the gratitude of a grateful people, thanks for divine favor that had transformed defeat into victory, sacrifice into salvation. The temple walls echoed with the memory of ancient battles, but tonight they held only peace and reverence. The warrior's heart beat with the rhythm of eternal vigilance, knowing that the gods had chosen Greece's side and that freedom would endure as long as Spartans stood ready to avenge any threat to their sacred soil. The Strait of Salamis welcomed dawn with the gentle lapping of peaceful waves, its waters calm and clear beneath skies untroubled by foreign sails. Where once the clash of bronze had echoed across these waters, now only the songs of seabirds carried on the morning breeze. Fishing boats moved gracefully across the surface, their nets seeking sustenance rather than conquest. The sea that had witnessed the greatest naval battle in Greek history now reflected only the beauty of freedom restored. No longer did these waters tremble at the approach of Persian fleets, for Spartan vengeance had ensured that Xerxes' ambitions would trouble Greece no more. The strait had become a symbol of victory transformed into lasting peace. In the narrow streets of Sparta, children played games of war and glory while real warriors marched past in perfect formation, their bronze armor gleaming like beacons of eternal protection. The young ones mimicked the movements of their elders, their wooden swords and shields preparing them for the day when they too would stand guard over Greek freedom. Citizens conducted their daily business without fear, their work untroubled by the nightmares of foreign invasion. The disciplined ranks that had avenged Thermopylae now served as living reminders that freedom required constant vigilance. Every child understood that the games they played and the peace they enjoyed had been purchased with blood, that Spartan sacrifice ensured their future would remain bright and free. Upon the sacred wall, a bronze plaque recorded for eternity the triumph that had saved Greece from foreign tyranny, its letters carved deep to withstand the ravages of time. The inscription told the story of 300 Spartans who had held back an empire, of bronze rams that had shattered Persian dreams, of justice served beneath the waves of Salamis. Olive branches adorned the memorial, symbols of the peace that Spartan sacrifice had purchased for all future generations. Pilgrims came from across the Greek world to read these words, understanding that they represented not just military victory but the triumph of freedom over tyranny. The plaque served as eternal testimony that those who threatened Spartan soil would face not just mortal enemies but the very forces of divine justice. Through the mountain passes that had once echoed with the confident footsteps of Xerxes' invasion force, now lay only the scattered remnants of broken dreams. Abandoned camps told the story of desperate retreat, cooking pots still blackened from final meals, weapons discarded in panic. The narrow trails that had seemed so promising during the advance now served only as monuments to defeat, each rock and boulder a witness to Spartan pursuit and Persian flight. The equipment that had once gleamed with imperial pride now lay rusting in the mountain air, claimed by wind and weather. Where once an army had marched to conquer Greece, now only silence remained, broken only by the wind whistling through empty tents and the distant cry of birds feasting on the remnants of imperial ambition. Upon the wall of every Spartan home, a warrior's shield told the story of Thermopylae's redemption and Salamis' triumph, its bronze surface bearing the scars of combat and the wear of countless battles. The lambda symbol, worn smooth by time and handling, served as a daily reminder that freedom came at a price paid in blood and honor. Children reached up to touch the sacred metal, feeling the weight of their ancestors' sacrifice and understanding their own responsibility to maintain the legacy of Spartan valor. The shield had protected its owner through the darkest hours of the Persian invasion, and now it protected his family through the peace that his courage had purchased. In every scratch and dent, the family read the story of their salvation, knowing that such shields had saved Greece from foreign bondage. In the marble halls where war had been declared, Greek leaders now gathered to celebrate victory over the greatest threat their civilization had ever faced. The map before them showed the complete collapse of Xerxes' invasion, every red line representing Persian retreat and every blue marker signifying Greek triumph. Leaders from Athens, Corinth, Sparta, and a dozen other cities nodded in satisfaction, understanding that their unity had made possible the vengeance that had saved them all. The council chamber that had once trembled with fear now rang with cheers of triumph, its walls bearing witness to the moment when Greece had chosen to stand together against tyranny. Each leader knew that the blood of Thermopylae had been properly avenged, that Salamis had secured freedom for all the Greek cities, and that their children would grow up in a world where Persian ambition lay buried beneath the waves and mountains of their homeland. As the sun set over the ancient city of Sparta, bronze-armored warriors stood eternal watch over streets where citizens conducted their evening business in perfect freedom. The narrow alleys that had once trembled at the approach of foreign invasion now echoed only with the laughter of children and the peaceful sounds of daily life. Every Spartan understood that the golden light bathing their city had been purchased with blood spilled at Thermopylae and vengeance exacted at Salamis. The bronze rams that had shattered Persian dreams now served only as guardians of the peace that Xerxes had failed to destroy. In every home, every street, every corner of the city, the message was clear: those who threatened Spartan soil would face not just mortal enemies but the eternal fury of warriors who understood that freedom required constant protection and that the price of liberty was never truly paid but must be renewed with each generation.